Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, was born on August 25, 1530, in the Kremlin of Moscow, the son of Grand Prince Vasily III and Elena Glinskaya. His early life was marked by tragedy and turmoil, shaping the complex character that would later define his reign. Ivan lost his father at the tender age of 3, thrusting him into a world of political intrigue and instability. His mother, Elena, served as regent until her own untimely death when Ivan was just 8. This left him in the care of a series of boyars, noble families that vied for power and influence, often at the expense of the young prince's well-being. The boyars, preoccupied with their own ambitions, neglected Ivan, leaving him isolated and deeply distrustful of those around him. As Ivan matured, he began to assert himself in the tumultuous political landscape of Russia. In 1547, at the age of 16, he was crowned the first Tsar of all Russia, a title that signified the consolidation of power and the transformation of the Grand Duchy of Moscow into a centralized state. This moment was pivotal, as it marked the beginning of Ivan's reign and his ambition to expand and strengthen the Russian state. The coronation was not just a ceremonial event, it was a declaration of Ivan's vision for Russia, a vision that sought to elevate the nation to a position of prominence among European powers. Ivan's early reign was characterized by a series of reforms aimed at modernizing Russia. He sought to reduce the influence of the boyars and establish a more centralized government. He introduced a new legal code, reorganized the military, and created a council of advisors, known as the Zemsky Sobor, which included representatives from various social classes. These reforms were intended to enhance the power of the monarchy and diminish the feudal system that had long dominated Russian society. However, Ivan's attempts at reform were met with resistance, and he quickly learned that governing was fraught with challenges. One of the most significant events during Ivan's early reign was the conquest of the Khanate of Kazan in 1552. This military campaign was not merely a quest for territorial expansion. It was deeply personal for Ivan. The Khanate had long been a thorn in the side of the Russian state, and its defeat was seen as a way to assert Russian dominance and avenge past humiliations. The siege of Kazan was brutal and bloody, but Ivan's forces ultimately emerged victorious. This victory solidified his reputation as a formidable leader and instilled a sense of national pride among the Russian people. It also marked the beginning of a series of military campaigns that would expand the Russian Empire significantly. However, Ivan's character began to reveal itself more fully as his reign progressed. His early years of isolation and distrust evolved into a more pronounced paranoia. Following the death of his beloved wife, Anastasia Romanovna, in 1560, Ivan's mental state deteriorated. The loss of Anastasia, who had been a stabilizing force in his life, sent him into a downward spiral. He became increasingly erratic, prone to violent outbursts, and his paranoia grew to alarming levels. He believed that the boyars were conspiring against him, a fear that led him to take drastic measures to eliminate perceived threats. In 1565, Ivan established the Oprichnina, a state policy that allowed him to rule with an iron fist. He created a separate territory within Russia, governed by his loyal followers known as the Oprichniki. These men were tasked with enforcing Ivan's will, often through brutal means. The Oprichniki became infamous for their cruelty, executing those suspected of disloyalty and instilling fear throughout the land. This period marked a dark chapter in Russian history, as Ivan's reign of terror led to widespread suffering and destruction. Villages were razed, and countless lives were lost in the name of loyalty to the Tsar. The Oprichnina also had profound implications for Ivan's legacy. While it allowed him to consolidate power and eliminate his enemies, it also alienated many of his supporters. The boyars, who had once been a source of power for the Tsar, were now his primary targets. The brutality of the Oprichniki created a rift between Ivan and the nobility, leading to a loss of support that would haunt him in the years to come. The fear and distrust that Ivan fostered ultimately weakened the very state he sought to strengthen. As Ivan's paranoia deepened, he turned to increasingly erratic behavior. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in 1581 when, in a fit of rage, he killed his own son, Ivan Ivanovich, during a heated argument. The death of his heir was a devastating blow to Ivan, both personally and politically. It left him without a clear successor and plunged Russia into uncertainty. This tragic event underscored the depths of Ivan's madness and the consequences of his tyrannical rule. The once promising leader had become a figure of fear and instability, his legacy forever tarnished by his actions. In the latter part of his reign, Ivan's focus shifted towards foreign affairs. He sought to expand Russia's influence beyond its borders, particularly in the Baltic region. His ambitions led to the Livonian War, a conflict that would last for over 2 decades. The war was marked by a series of military setbacks and failures, further straining Ivan's already fragile mental state. The prolonged conflict drained the resources of the Russian state and alienated Ivan from his remaining supporters. The once mighty Tsar, who had achieved great victories in the early years of his reign, now found himself mired in a costly and unwinnable war. Despite the turmoil and chaos that defined his later years, Ivan IV's reign also saw significant cultural and religious developments. He was a patron of the arts and sought to promote the Russian Orthodox Church as a unifying force within the empire. The construction of St. Basil's Cathedral, commissioned to commemorate the victory over Kazan, stands as a testament to Ivan's vision for a strong and unified Russia. The cathedral, with its vibrant colors and unique architecture, symbolizes the complex legacy of Ivan IV, a ruler who oscillated between greatness and tyranny. Ivan IV's death in 1584 marked the end of an era. His passing left a power vacuum that would lead to a tumultuous period in Russian history known as the Time of Troubles. The absence of a strong leader and the infighting among the boyars created chaos and instability, highlighting the fragility of the state that Ivan had sought to build. His legacy became a subject of debate, with some viewing him as a visionary ruler who laid the foundations for the Russian Empire, while others saw him as a tyrant whose reign of terror brought suffering and destruction. In the years following his death, Ivan IV's reputation continued to evolve. Historians and writers grappled with the complexities of his character, trying to reconcile the achievements of his early reign with the horrors of his later years. Ivan became a symbol of the duality of power, the potential for greatness and the capacity for destruction. His life and reign serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of absolute power and the impact of personal tragedy on leadership. The legacy of Ivan IV is a tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tragedy. He was a ruler who sought to forge a new identity for Russia, one that would stand apart from its neighbors. His military conquests expanded the territory and influence of the Russian state, while his cultural patronage laid the groundwork for a burgeoning Russian identity. Yet the very traits that propelled him to power, his ambition, his paranoia, and his volatility, ultimately undermined his achievements. The story of Ivan the Terrible is a reminder of the complexities of human nature and the intricate interplay between personal and political realms. In the annals of history, Ivan IV stands as a towering figure, a Tsar whose reign was marked by both remarkable accomplishments and profound failures. His life reflects the turbulent journey of a nation grappling with its identity and aspirations. The legacy of Ivan the Terrible endures, a testament to the multifaceted nature of power and the enduring impact of a ruler who remains one of the most enigmatic figures in Russian history.